Okay, here's another highly controversial subject and this is one of the things that drives me absolutely batty, and people just lose their minds that, all right guys, we finally hit 5,000 miles on our new F350 Super Duty. So it's time for an oil change, and we're gonna go over exactly what oil we're gonna use, what filter, some tools to help you do it, especially when you're on the road full-time, and we're gonna go over some controversial subjects about this motor, oil, and all that jazz. So stick around, check it out. Hey guys, I'm Chris. This is the Salty Trips channel, and we're all about full-time RV life, trucks, travel, towing, all that jazz. It's time for our first oil change on our new PowerStroke Super Duty. We just hit over 5,000 miles, and I see a lot of people always ask online, like, well, when's the break-in period? If you look at the manual, well, now the manuals are all digital on the display inside. They don't have any paper ones. Maybe there are some paper ones that exist, but I don't know. But they're all inside. But if you go to there and look up for the break-in period, it doesn't say. It just says change the oil. You can change the oil up to 15,000 miles. And that's because in 2023, when they came out with the new high output motor, they increased oil capacity up to 15 quarts. That's almost 4 gallons. And I have a bone to pick with Ford about that. We'll discuss that in just a minute. But high output, standard output, it doesn't matter. They're both 15 quarts. When they came out with the high output in 2023, all the standard outputs, they're exact same motor, except for 2 things. The water-cooled jet on the turbo and some stainless steel exhaust. Other than that, they are the identical motors. All the other components are exactly the same. But typically, usually after the first 5,000 miles, I take the standard oil out and then we put in synthetic. And I'll show you what we got. We have the Rotella T6 5W40. And here's our first little bit of controversy. If you go look inside the manual, I'll show you right here. It says you should be using, for normal use, it should be using 10W30. It says severe duty should be using 540 or 1030 for regular. What is severe duty? And it doesn't really exactly say. Basically, high idle time and lots of towing. Heavy towing, high idle time, or if you just drive lots of miles, I would consider any of that stuff severe duty. If you're just driving around town and stuff like that, getting groceries, I don't know why you have a super duty to begin with, but still, if that's your thing, that's probably not severe duty. But we travel with this 15,000 pound gross vehicle weight rating RV, but we have some exciting plans coming up. Anyway, if you like that kind of stuff, make sure you subscribe and follow along. But so first you got to determine you're doing regular duty or severe duty. And most people just automatically switch over to the 540 for severe duty. And not only do we, when we tow this, if we move a lot, that's considered severe duty, but we do get a lot of idle time. Like whenever we're packing this thing up, we have 3 puppies. We have to get in the truck and let it run because it's hot here, and we're in Florida right now. So we got to keep the dogs cool. So they stay in the truck while I pack everything up and get it all ready to tow, hitch it up. Then we get to where we're going. And then I unhitch it, and then I have to set everything back up again, and they're all sitting there in the truck with the truck idling. I know it's not great to idle your diesel, but it is what it is. You can't get around it. I have to have the air conditioning for the dogs. It's just going to run what it is. But you try to idle it as little as you can because of this thing right here. This is your exhaust gas recirculation system. And for some reason, that likes to build up soot, especially when idling. It just doesn't get up to temperature to burn stuff off. So it just builds up in there and gets a little clogged up over time. And we'll cross that bridge with us when we get to it. And a lot of people ask, well, why don't you just delete it? Just remove all the emissions garbage. Well, I still got another 95,000 miles of warranty, so I'm not going to do anything to jeopardize that. Once the warranty's up, then we'll cross that bridge. Why the Rotella T6? Because aren't there better oils out there? Yes, there are. Like 2 of the better oils are Schaefer's and AMSOIL. And there's this guy who did a really great test on a bunch of different diesel oils. And this came out pretty good at doing everything like detergent, the heat evaporation, all that stuff. The AMSOIL and Schaefer's did a little bit better, but they are twice as much literally. It's going to double your oil change. But does it double your engine life? Does it double the length of time you have to go between oil changes, I don't think so. You're probably gonna have to change your oil the same amount of times. So for the price point, and if you go ask a lot of people, they're using this full synthetic Rotella T6. And I got a buddy of mine who had a 6.0 PowerStroke. He had 180,000 miles on that thing before he traded it in for the new 6.7 2019. He's got 120,000 miles on that on Rotella T6. Been doing just fine, zero oil issues. It's a great oil, it's going to do the job, but there's always those doom and gloomers that are saying that every 6.7 PowerStroke, the CP4 pump's going to blow up, your DPF filter is going to clog up and explode, and they're probably the same people who are saying if you don't use AMS oil, your engine's going to explode. People have been using Rotella T6 and these PowerStrokes for years and doing great with almost zero issues with them. And here is another big reason why we're going with the Shell Rotella T6 is because, you know, I got this on Amazon and you can get it shipped just about anywhere. But sometimes if we're going to be on the move, especially if you're doing any kind of like full-timing RV stuff, or, you know, you need to make that oil change, you go into any Walmart anywhere and they are going to have this. They're not going to be AMS oil on there, and there may or may not be Schaefer's, probably not. And the auto parts stores are iffy too. But everywhere you go, there'll probably be a Rotella T6 5W40 diesel oil. It's everywhere. So what do we have here? These two things, this bucket and this thing, is probably going to be a one-time use, because after this oil change, because of this thing right here, which we'll go over in just a minute, I shouldn't need these two anymore. But I believe it's a 15 millimeter, and I like these oil filter wrenches. They're way better than the straps and all that other stuff, or these things fit right on the oil filter and can pull off. And we use the Motorcraft oil filters, but I've been using Motorcraft and all my Fords with zero oil issues anyway. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. All right, guys, I was wrong. It is 5/8. I don't know why. I think it's because the old truck, the F-250, was, I think, 15 millimeter or 17. See if I can pull this out without burning myself. And this is one of the things I hate about these oil changes, is it's almost impossible to do this without making a mess. There we go. Oh, got it. A little drippage. And this can holds 5 gallons, and 3 3/4 gallons is what comes out of here. It made a mess right here. I gotta clean that up on this cooler. Hopefully that will never be an issue again. Oh man, that's a lot of oil. It's getting full. And now we're just gonna empty this into here. That's a ton of oil. I got a lid, so we can go drop it off at the auto parts store. You know, with the bucket and the lid at Walmart was like $5. Like I said, we'll go drop it off at the auto parts store, but we should never have to use it again because of the thing we're replacing with the plug. And man, this oil wrench just makes things so much easier. Not dealing with any of that stupid hassle. All right, guys, what we have here is the Fumoto valve, and this basically just replaces your plug. It screws right in. It's got a little gasket that goes on there, and it's got a little valve you can shut off, and you put this little clip on there so it doesn't accidentally open. And so next time we go to do an oil change, we can just plop the hose on there, and we'll keep some extra 1-gallon jugs of like water or something like that are super cheap when it comes time to change in it, and just dump into that. So the next time we don't have to deal with the bucket, the pan, none of that mess. It just dumps into like a 1 gallon. You shut it off when it gets full, close it up, switch it over, put another one in there, open it back up, and just drain, because that's a lot of oil. It's less mess. If you saw me in my previous video, my F-250, it's super easy. And all the comments I kept getting was like, oh, something's going to hit that and knock that thing off. Ain't nothing going to hit that thing. Nothing ever has. I've never heard of anybody ever losing one. It's just ridiculous. So it's never been an issue. Just going to take a little bit of this oil, put it on both sides of this little gasket here, slap it on, and then you just screw it on. Just snug it down. And then when you go to do an oil change next, you put that little hose on and you just open the valve and it'll come out. And that just locks in place. And it has a safety feature so that it won't accidentally, like you see I pull it, you have to pull it forward away, and then you can pull it down. It's got this little clip that just pops on here just so that it can't accidentally pull forward. Okay, here's another highly controversial subject: is pre-fill or not to pre-fill. And this really gets people going. Truck stuff, this little, like, people are either all or nothing when it comes to this stuff. And just a little snug it up. I don't know if you guys have seen this online or not yet, but there's a pretty popular guy who makes these videos and stuff where he did a test between pre-filling and not pre-filling the filter. He did it, I believe, 50 times each way. 50. And the way you measure if pre-filling has any advantage or not is you run the engine for a certain amount of hours, and then you do an oil analysis and see how much metal particulates in there. And that's the thing, is it's taking longer for the oil to get to all the engine components because you didn't pre-fill, and you would expect metal particulates to be at a much higher level than non-pre-fill. And actually, he did this test and there was almost like no difference. So it seemed to make no difference whatsoever. If you guys do a quick search, I'm sure you'll find that video in no time. But it was very interesting and enlightening. 0.7, we got the fill right here, and then our dipstick right there. And this is one of the things that drives me absolutely batty about the oil changes in this thing. Why the heck couldn't they just made it even 16 quarts so you can just use 4 gallons instead of have to use either buy three of these and 3 quarts, or buy 4 of these and just waste a quart? Just made that pan this much deeper and you could have used 4 gallons even. Seriously, Ford, how hard would that would have been? All right, 2 3/4 more of these to go. And this is another big thing. Apparently, when the new 6.7 came out in 2023, but previously the 6.7 was 13 quarts. And a lot of people who got the new standard output and high output were only putting 13 quarts in it, so it was reading low instead of just looking at the manual and adding the correct amount. But standard output, high output, 23 plus, all 15 quarts. So now with this one, we'll leave 1 quart in here, and I'll probably just donate it to a friend because I really don't have the storage doing full-time RV stuff. Man, it's right on the money. All right, put that back on. All right, so we'll just let that run for a minute, and then we'll go check it. All right, here we go. Get back in there. Gotta kind of help it a little bit. And there we go, right on the money. All right, so that's our oil change. But I'm gonna go over one more controversial thing while we're at it. I made a video previously about the differences between the 6.7 standard output and high output. And all I did was just go over the facts or the lack of differences between the two. And when you talk about truck stuff, especially engines and everything, it just brings the people out that just lose their mind. They just come out of the woodwork. It's either my way or the highway. If you don't do things the way I do it, your engine's going to explode. I'm not that kind of, I try to be a realist. Yeah, crap happens. CP4s fail. You're going to have diesel exhaust problems, or you may go 300,000 or 400,000 miles without any issues. Just keep up on your maintenance. And I try not to do the doom and gloom. But there's going to be people in this leaving comments right now, typing away, arguing with me or having a fit either about pre-fill and not fill-in, standard output versus high output, all this yada yada. And what I thought was crazy is in that video was the people who had high outputs that lost their mind that I didn't choose a high output. You know, we tow around this 15,000 pound gross vehicle weight rating RV just fine with the standard output. I do not want to go any faster than this thing already takes me. I don't need it. It would have been nice. Yeah, but the only truck that had all the options we wanted that we could get like right now, you know, at the time was this one. It was standard output and it was not a deal breaker for us. And people just lose their minds. that the high output is not a deal breaker. It's not a deal breaker for the Cummins people. It's not a deal breaker for the Duramax people. All those have less power than the standard output of this PowerStroke. So have a fit, don't have a fit, whatever. If you enjoyed, subscribe, notification bell, all that fancy jazz. I'll leave links for the oil wrench, the Fumoto valve, the oil and filter, all this stuff down in the description area below. Please give this video a big thumbs up. Shows that you appreciate the content because we appreciate you guys. And hopefully you'll stick around for some more. And we'll see you guys next week.